Ladies and gentlemen, comrades, so let me begin by thanking you for being so patient. I am happy that I'm not at fault for your still being here at 7. I was told to come at 6:30. And I'm a little embarrassed to say that even though I'm a St. George man, being born just at the Chancellor Bridge, I didn't get lost, but I did take a few wrongs. Along the way. But I asked directions like all humble people do, and I found my way here. I am delighted to be able to share this evening with my friends Dwight and Arthur. One of the biggest difficulties in any political institution, in fact any institution has, is to ask themselves who will take the mantle and run the next mile. The Barbados Labour Party has always been very fortunate. In fact, it is one of the reasons we were so successful as a government when we came to power in 1994. If you'll permit me just to go back in history for a minute. In 1994 we were in the grips of a deep recession. Unemployment was near 26%. Things were bad. 8% plus. There was a protest march. I'm sure you all remember it. That the MPW even said, "Oh, we don't keep." Remember that. One of the things that allowed the Barbados Labour Party to form so that was the fact that we came back to power, and on that occasion we had the likes of Billy Miller, we had your predecessor in Parliament, Sir Louis Keller, we had Henry Ford, we had Reese St. John, so we had a cadre of Johnny Cheltenham, we had David Simmons, we had a cadre of people who were still young then, but who had some political experience. But even then, Owen Arthur, as our new Prime Minister at the time, always understood that those people would not be with us forever. And it was important to try to bring into the fold other individuals who could take us a little further. It is possible that he may have chosen me with that in mind, I don't know. But I'm happy to say that Dwight and Arthur have absolutely brilliant political futures. And if we are to be a success when we retake this administration, Dwight and Arthur have to be with us. I wish I could promise you that I would go all out and take all of my time and spend my time in St. Michael and in St. George. But having only won by 44 votes myself, you will understand if I watch from afar when I try to take care of my own business at night. But I have no doubt that the constituents in these constituencies will do the wise thing. I have no doubt that Barbadians are now ready to do the wise thing. Somehow or another, in January of 2008, this whole idea of change was big. It was one of these forces that it almost could not resist. That was my second election. And I couldn't understand why people would want to change the government that had just brought unemployment down to 6%. And it was 6% with 10,000 Guyanese in Barbados. With 10,000 Guyanese in Barbados, unemployment was still at 6%. This government has said up the Guyanese, and unemployment now is 10-11%. So there must have been some magic that we were able to do then. But somehow, this thing about change overtook the Barbadian public. But change works both ways. And the same way we have change back. And the people in Barbados, I feel, are ready to change back to the Barbados state. Now, I don't plan on being very loving to after that I came here to listen to him. He didn't believe me. I have not heard anybody make economics as simple as alcohol. That is not an idle compliment. You see, I seek knowledge wherever I can find it. So when I have the opportunity to listen to Arthur talk about the economy, now, you know, as brilliant as the other Arthur is, I happen to enjoy economics made simple by Arthur. And I believe that you did too. What we have facing us today are extremely perilous times. And as I sit in Parliament and watch the government on the other side of the aisle, as you sit in front of your TV and watch them on the news, as you read about them in the newspaper, I'm sure that you get the same feeling I get. That the government, somebody said lost, that the government is lost. The problem is when the government is lost, the people are the losers. And forgive me, but it bears repeating. When the government is lost, the people are the losers. Now, is there anyone in this audience tonight who could honestly say that in 3.5 years they have felt a spirit of achievement, a spirit of success, a spirit of victory? It's a feeling of that. Well, you know, well, everybody here is a BLP. But if you went into your neighborhoods and asked the names if they have felt a spirit of achievement or success or victory, they would say no. They would say no. Now, let me say that perhaps I'm a little bit of an idealist. I am confident we'll win the government next night. But I don't want us to win the government. Well, let's put it this way. They say that governments lose elections, oppositions don't. Well, you know, there are all kinds of things that we have. I said when St. George babies win, but then he can't get peace in it, he gotta get peace in it too. So you sometimes wonder what the gospel truth is. But let us put that aside. I am confident that we will win the government. But I want us to win the government not because people are hating the Democratic Party. I want us to win the government because once again we are in a position to take Barbados forward. Yes, I know it sounds a little bit idealistic because any athlete would tell you, you know, as long as you win. Winning is the most important thing. And I can accept that. And, you know, I have to say, as long as I win in St. Joseph, I win. But you see, when we have the entire future of a country in our hands, we have to start answering the higher call. And it may be found in Timothy, it may be found in Proverbs, it may be found deep in your bosom. But I am happy to be a part of a team that has a thirst for victory, but more than that, we have a thirst for the salvation of this country and its people. And we're asking all of Barbados once again to put their faith in the Barbados Party again as they did back in 1994. When they did it in 1994, that faith was rewarded beyond measure. Barbados is in need of that again. it is a very difficult thing to find yourself being kicked about in the Caribbean, you know. I mean, the last time Barbados was the laughing stock of the Caribbean was when David Thompson, now blessed memory, was Minister of Finance. And in those days, you couldn't present a Barbados dollar in Trinidad or in St. Lucia or anywhere. We were the laughing stock then. And somehow you would have hoped that a new Democratic Labour Party administration would have come to power with a vision and a focus on the skills. But it didn't. And you know what? We've once again become the laughing stock of the Caribbean. That is not what Barbados has grown accustomed to. And I'm asking you to join with us and to put a stop to it. Now, there are a number of issues. I didn't come with any particular theme. I thought I came to hear quite the matter. But there are a few things though that in the next few minutes I would want to share with you as some are criticism, some are perspectives. It is troublesome. It is troublesome when you have an administration that demonstrates at every turn that they care little about the people who voted. Now, I can tell you from St. Joseph elected in Barbados their party candidate, and as far as the Dems are concerned, we can start small. Okay? There are roads in the Scotland district that are falling apart. And when I asked the Minister of Public Works, Mr. John Boyce, saying we need help, he said to me, man, it's going to fall. That's his response. That is the response of a person who's been entrusted with a ministry, whose responsibility is for the public works of this entire island. But it suits him to make crass and insensitive remarks when we ask about things happening in St. Joseph. I have no doubt that they're punishing St. Joseph, St. Andrews, St. Thomas, St. Peter, all of the constituencies that dare to buck the train are now being punished. Well, St. George South didn't buck the train. But I would have to ask whether St. George South is being treated any better. So if they're treating the constituencies that voted for the Barbados their party poorly, what justification could they possibly have for meting up similar treatment to the ones who elected them? What that should tell you is that this administration really was on nothing more than a thirst for power. They wanted to win, but had no vision. It was about winning, nothing more. It was about winning, and they won. And then the first cabinet meeting that they had, Glenn was in cabinet, and Glenn, I'm sure you remember his first cabinet meeting. I don't remember mine. I wonder what theirs was like, Glenn. I have an image in my mind of all of them showing up at government headquarters with their suits. And they go to the first cabinet meeting, and they sit down with their hands on the table, and they say, all right, boys, so what we can do now? That's the image I have. But even if my image was mistaken, everything that they have done since then tells me that is exactly that. They sat down and they said, all right, boys, what we can do now? You see, they came to you on a manifesto with a bunch of their promises that have gone through the window. They promised everything under the sun, nothing they've delivered. So if they have not done the programs that they said they were going to do, then it tells you that they went to the cabinet and said, what we can do now. But we know what they've done. They have inflicted serious harm on individuals in this country who rely on their drug service to get done medication to save their life.
Yes.
That is what they have done. Okay? What they have done is to go into Rural Development Commission and send home 30 people with families and hire a different 30. That's what they have done. Every step of the way, this government has done little more than wreak havoc, cause confusion, engage in a bunch of absurd policies that are going to leave this country with a legacy that we can't recover. I was online this morning and I saw that Rihanna is now the most famous person, most popular person on Facebook. Has even surpassed Lady Gaga. Well, I know you could not know who Lady Gaga is. If you wonder how I know you could saw that Yukul is the only person within a mile of here who's ever seen me naked. If you want to know why, she helped change my diapers. Yukul doesn't know who Lady Gaga is, but she knows who Rihanna is. And you know, again, it isn't so much what you do sometimes, but it's how you do it. It is a wonderful thing when a country can proclaim its stars. A country like Barbados, you know, stars are few and far between. The last real star we had was Sir Gary Soames. I suppose you could call Ricky Brad Bradford a star, but you know, some stars, well, it's an every star. But you know, some stars don't, they have a short lifespan, okay? We don't get off. We wish him well and we hope that he will continue his way. But now we have Rihanna, and it is a wonderful thing that we can proclaim Rihanna as being all. But, you know, it isn't what we do, so we do. This administration has embarked on a mission to bring Rihanna to Barbados. To do what? We're not sure. It may well be that Rihanna is being brought to Barbados because we really want to see Rihanna. And that's alright. That's alright. But, you know, right now there's so much confusion and uncertainty surrounding Rihanna's performance in Barbados that the public of Barbados have reason to ask whether it is the best thing that is happening. We understand that the BTA has been asked to sign a confidentiality agreement. Now, let me tell you, see, Barbados Roosevelt. I was Attorney General when we were negotiating for Cricket World Cup. And before that, I assisted Mia Motley when she was 18 negotiating for the Cricket World Cup. And the Cricket World Cup people told us that we had to sign a confidentiality agreement. And we told them where they could take the agreement and stuff it. And use a bat to help it get there. Because it is absurd that you could ask a sovereign state who is spending taxpayers' money, which is accountable for its expenditure to you and me, to sign a confidentiality agreement. But the Barbados Tourism Authority, we understand, has been asked to sign a confidentiality agreement. That is an agreement that says anything that we have agreed between us stays confidential. We cannot disclose it. An agency that is being funded entirely by taxpayers' dollars is signing a confidentiality agreement. Now, what are we coming to? That is not money that they're finding outside the road. That is my dollars and your dollars. And when they file their report in Parliament, as they must file an annual report, I feel I'm entitled to demand to know what the conditions were, what the circumstances were, what were the details. This is not about Rihanna now, this is about how we govern our country. But for the sake of scoring a few cheap political points and being able to say, we brought home Rihanna to perform for Barbados, they're prepared to commit acts of idiocy when it comes to spending taxpayers' dollars. Now, it must not surprise you though, because when you look at everything that this administration has done, and it is clear enough that they don't learn the lesson. You all remember the brouhaha that we had with the Chief Justice, and how they wanted to appoint Marston Gibson as Chief Justice, but having done everything, they discovered that he didn't qualify and couldn't meet the law, and so they went to Parliament and changed the law in the Our esteemed Minister of Health didn't learn his lesson, and so the QEH has appointed a gentleman to a post of Director of Medical Services. And under the QEH Act, the Youth Hospital Act, it says that that Director of Medical Services, in order to be appointed, must have been registered as a medical practitioner in Barbados for not less than 12 years, and must have been a consultant for not less than 6 years. Once again, this individual couldn't meet the law. Because at the time of his appointment, he was not registered as a medical practitioner in Barbados in any sense. So, once more, the Dems are seeking to oppose somebody in circumstances where the law does not allow it. And so, once more, we're going to be asked to sit back while they come to Parliament and change the law to correct something that was wrong in the first place. Now, it isn't just because I am a lawyer that these things bother me. You see, for a little while I was involved in governance, and I feel that I still am. And procedures are not there just because people sit down and make up things. There are reasons why you put these things in place. But this administration cares little about right or reason. And in the last 3 years, they have decided to do whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, without regard for the law. It shouldn't surprise you because they put up billboards at the last election in breach of the law. And when they were challenged on it, David Thompson, of blessed memory, said, by time when I could get some boy who said, "Hold it, we'll away." That's what he said. They've put Arnie Walters as the Executive Director of the Barbados Port Authority, again contrary to the law. National Housing has been giving away houses, again contrary to the law. Now, the problem with that is that when you start to break the very law that you are sworn to uphold, where does it end? We're concerned. Where will it end? Right now. In fact, I should tell you right now, as at 7 o'clock, well, in the news tonight, I was here, but you wonder how I know. At midnight, gas is going up to $3.23. Okay. So we're finding ourselves, so all the things that we were complaining about, that is still okay. But permit me, daughter, to say this. 2 Fridays ago, promotions were announced in Royal Barbados Beach. A significant number of the individuals who were promoted were not recommended by the Commissioner of Police. Now, I was Attorney General. The Commissioner would do his recommendation. They would go to the Police Service Commission, and I would see it, and I would just pass it right along. I didn't even write that down. If I wrote about it, okay, it was not for me to get involved. And I'm not saying that the Attorney General is not involved. But I will tell you that the last time the Commissioner sent their recommendations, two of the members of the Service Commission came with different recommendations. A former Deputy Police Commissioner, Keith Whitaker, and the Assembly Attorney at Law, a former AP, a former minister. They all came with different recommendations. And the recommendations that were sent forward by the Commissioner were ignored. When we talk about governance, you must understand what the Democratic Labour Party is doing to this country. And so the Commissioner of Police now is in a difficult position because he runs the force, and he recommended the people that he felt should be promoted. And they picked 1 ahead and 5 theirs. 1 more heads and 5 theirs. And expect that the police force can run in a way that will serve the interests of this country. You know, I understand the Attorney General is hopping mad because I complained publicly about the rate of homicides. Last year, we had 30 murders. 6 of them were the Campus Trains murder, Campus Trains tragedy, when Bill Burnley basically people died. And the government was quick to say, well, it was 30 murders, but that was an unprecedented thing. Campus Trains is although it was a freak thing, so don't panic. We are halfway through the year, and we've had 17 murders. 17 murders. What that tells you, we had 2 alone so far in July. What that tells you is that if you follow the progression, by the end of this year, we will either equal or surpass last year's homicide rate. Now, they said last year was an unprecedented year, you follow me? Because 6 people get killed one time. So last year was unprecedented. Well, if it was so unprecedented, then we would expect that this year things would come back down to normal. But instead, it is in fact continuing or getting worse. Now, in the face of bringing the Commissioner of Police up on charges for nonsense, in the face of destroying the morale of the Royal Barbados Police Force, how do you reasonably expect to be able to combat the kinds of unlawful and irresponsible behavior that we are seeing today? How? The central point that I want to make is that when a government when a government does not know what to do, doesn't have a plan of what they should do, then it doesn't matter what they do. If any of you read Alice in Wonderland years ago, I see my former teacher, Granny Carvalho, here, taught me in class 1 at St. George's Boys School, my best teacher ever. I don't think we did Alice in Wonderland though. But if you ever read Alice in Wonderland, there's a passage where Alice asked the Cheshire Cat how she should get to, well, I'm messing it up, but the point is, the Cheshire Cat's response to it was, it depends on where you want to go. Whatever the question was, the answer was always important. It depends on where you want to go. Now, if you have a government that is uncertain as to where it wants to go, then anywhere will do. It makes no difference. If you have a government that is only concerned about rewarding Democratic Labour Party faithfuls, then it doesn't matter what injustices are done in their name. If you have a government that is only concerned about rewarding the Dems, then it doesn't matter. If you have a government that instead of supporting the police force is cutting it off at the knees, then it doesn't matter. But that is a government that is lost, and when a government is lost, we are lost. When we go into this next election, it isn't going to be easy. We may have the benefit of a poll that has said that 7 of our candidates are ahead. Perhaps if they polled all 30 seats, they would have found that the only body who was ahead might have been marathons. Though, our good friend Calvin seems to be capable of pulling off America every now and then. But the truth of the matter is that no election is a foregone conclusion. After I go to court every day, in the criminal courts and the civil courts, and we know that no matter how good a case you think you have, there's never a guarantee that you're going to win. If the Democratic Labour Party were tried today, either in a civil court or a criminal court, they'd be found guilty and they would get a few of those years that you were speaking of. We think so. But there is no guarantee that we're going to win. What we have on our side is that a return to government would see us coming back into an administration with individuals who have cabinet experience. Whether they serve in cabinet or not, doesn't matter, because Reed and Henry did not go back in the cabinet. Sir Lewis Randall Tull did not go back in the cabinet, but he was there to give us his guidance, okay? So we are poised to go back into government with a huge amount of experience. Individuals who are young and have energy, and when we bring these new talents on board, we have a winning combination. But that is not winning. That's not winning. You know that's not winning. That's not winning. Our challenge is how we so focus our efforts that we become an example for the people around us. My neighbors are crying out for a better deal. And every day try to tell them where that better deal is to be found. We're going to win this election, not because we're entitled to it, not because people hate the Dems. We're going to win the election because we represent something that is better. We're going to win it. We're going to win it because we take every Barbadian and hold their hands and say, come and walk with me. Whether you are a B or a D. I was always satisfied. And when I took some things for it, Owen took some things for the politics of inclusion. But I remember when Owen said that he could create that, he felt that we could create 30,000 jobs. You were in that first cabinet. In the first term, in the first term, he felt he could create 30,000 jobs. Did any of y'all ever hear Owen say he would create 30,000 jobs for Barbers Labour Party? No. 30,000 jobs for Barbadians. When unemployment came down to 6%, as many or more Dems got work than me. I'm not trying to be inflammatory, but there are some people who will say that more Dems got work than me. Okay? Because you can't build a nation of one set of people. That's a recipe for disaster. You can't build a house on half a foundation. We are, by example, I think, showing the public of Barbados what government is about. We try to set a higher standard in our debates in Parliament. We try to educate Barbadians. And we are not about to start to curse the people who voted for us and tell them that they left behind handouts and criticize them and try to make them feel like less than human beings. When they got elected, they got elected to represent people. And if they have forgotten what that means, I certainly have not. And I don't think any of my colleagues have. In the face of 11,000 people having lost their jobs in the last 3 years, 11,000 people, Barbados is crying out for new direction. I say to you with all sincerity that I believe that direction is in your candidate for Sutherland, it is in our candidate for St. Michael Central, for Holden, it is in all of our candidates, but not not because people hate names, but because we are committed to showing people that there is a better way. You lived it for 14 years. You know what it is to have money in your pocket and food on your table and a dream of a future. But you don't know what it is to have had all of those things vanish almost overnight. Almost overnight. And we're being told that the government feels our pain. Well, that's perhaps a speech for another, and I'll be happy to come back again. I don't want to labor with you any longer. Glenn knows that I left out a few things that I intend to talk about. I wanted to tell you that the government is about to, over the next 5 years, to commit to spending $583 million on the Human Resources Program, which will not bring any jobs. I wanted to tell you that. $583 million. And $111 million of those dollars is to develop a system of something or another. I don't remember anything wrong with that. You know it's $583 million? And they made Barbadians sit through this debate, this torture on television for 3 different Tuesdays. Because if you can't do, you talk. So you can't create jobs, so you televise a debate on human resources and promise to spend $583 million, but you can't do that money. But you cannot tell us one job that is going to be created by this $583 million. You know, we'd be better off if they find $583 million, just put some in an envelope and give everybody a few dollars. But they want us to feel that they know. They want us to feel that they have solutions. But they're just talking. They're not doing it. If you want a better example, well, on October 25th, 2007, while we were at our annual conference at Lake David Thompson, now blessed memory. Now a blessed memory. The only thing David Thompson did do is walk on water, you forget. But this is not about him, he's gone. He was in Toronto talking to a group of individuals, Barbadians. And his famous words were, "We have looked at the numbers. And having looked at the numbers, we are going to give police and nurses duty-free vehicles. And it will not do any harm to the economy. But today, not a police or nurse has got the benefit of this promise. Okay? No, you know, I'm going to finish now. But you know, it would be hard if we said, managing everybody to free car or something like that, you know, but then you say after, I have looked at the numbers and I am satisfied that it will do no harm to the economy, then what justification do you have for not doing it? And if you looked at the numbers, surely you looked at all of the numbers, right? They can't have looked at some of the numbers. They had to look at the numbers. They had to look at all the numbers. So how is it that you can look at all the numbers and win a government and 3 years later 11,000 people unemployed? People suck us off. Now you know, there's no doubt that there are outside influences that affect us. But I remember when oil prices were going up. When Alpha made certain comments and made certain strategic decisions, David Thompson then said, oil prices gone up what? Yes. Don't worry about what happened in the States and England and so on. You were the Prime Minister of Barbados. Yes. Anything that happened in England, you remember that? But somehow, it is all right now for them to say naturally and complain that oil prices are going up, and everything outside is this, and everything outside is that. But somehow in all this, they found the money for Rihanna, but they can't fix the road in that hole. Somehow in all this, a drug lord from St. Philip named Bokhi is there. A drug lord from St. Philip named Bokhi, who is Mr. Marshall cousin, is getting is able to get contracts at National Corporation. Okay? Somehow or another, the governor of the central bank is able to have lavish dinners every day, catered, but the economy is suffering and we can't get a straight answer from them on the statistics. Somehow or another, people in Barbados have to pay $100 and $200 of their pension on medication. Somehow. But the time is here, and we have it in our power to change all of this. We have it in our power to change all of this. I can promise you that a new Barbados Labour Party administration, perhaps I shouldn't say new because it's not everybody that new, but we can have enough new things I think that we can say a new administration. And a reinvigorated administration. A refocused Barbados Labour Party administration. A Barbados Labour Party administration that has been able to reconnect with its roots and to reconnect with the people are ready once more to serve Barbados. I am grateful to you for having given me this opportunity to share a few words with you. Things are going to get worse. It's a pity about it. We have investigative journalists with us, and perhaps one of the finest investigative journalists in our ever had. He may wish to inquire or to investigate whether or not an individual from the IMF is not making plans to return to sit in the Ministry of Finance. That is where we are. And that is what Barbados Labour Party is prepared to save this country from once more. Dwight is our man, Arthur is our man, and I have my fortunes in Jordan who came all this way. I see a wide cross-section of Barbados Labour Party supporters from all over. The election is going to be a big battle. The Dems are not going to take it easy. The Dems are not going to take it easy. If the Dems are not going to be easy, but it isn't money that wins the election. It's votes. Votes. And we will win every single one of those votes, not because we have dollars to pay, but because we have heart